welcome back. Another sports opinion, I guess you would call it. Old Trafford, one of the greatest grounds in the world, for one of the greatest football clubs in the world. But what is going on at Manchester United right now? They have been in freefall for the entire season, pretty much. It's not been going well. To the extent that they fired their manager. Now, was that the right decision? Well, I'm not quite so sure it was. See, now the thing is, you can see over the last 2 years what has been being tried to be built at United. Something that harks back to how things used to be done at Old Trafford. I mean, before we sort of get into that, I mean, we have to sort of all go all the way back to when Ferguson retired and a squad that, let's face it, had had its best days. Now, in my opinion, David Moyes should have been given more time, and what he's achieved at other clubs, I think, can show that he's certainly got something about him. Now, I always said at the time, and I still say it today, he should have been given more time. And it seems that the board haven't learnt from the mistakes that they seem to keep making again and again and again. I thought this last time that maybe they'd learnt from that, but I'm not so sure they have. You had Louis van Gaal, who is a good manager, but he's not a good manager for English football. And then, of course, you had the complete and utter disaster that was what's his name? Oh wow, that's bad. So then we had the complete and utter disaster that was Jose Mourinho. Now, I've never been a particular Mourinho fan and never really rated him that much either. I know lots of people disagree with me on that, but if you look at his record, he looks on paper like he's a good manager. But then if you look at like the way he does things, he goes to a club, spends lots of money, wins something, maybe does well-ish for 1, 2, maybe 3 years, upsets everybody, everything declines, gets fired. And that's pretty much been his MO. You know, and obviously then they brought in Solskjaer and it just completely transformed the club. And you could, like you say, you could see what he was trying to build. There was a concentration on youth again, there was a concentration on team building and teamwork. And then, you know, sort of the last two seasons have been really good, really progressive, got to finish second last season, everyone was like hyped, I was hyped, and then this season everything seemed to fall apart a little bit. Now, the manager is normally the first person to get the blame and the first person to get the sack, but the fact of the matter is we've now got another manager who has an exceptional reputation, has trained some of the managers that are in the Premier League and top clubs, and things aren't improving. They're still playing the same. So the issue has got to be with the issue is with the players to a large degree, but I think it's deeper than that at United. And I think a lot of other clubs have suffered from the same things. Some have learned from it, some haven't. So this is my take on really where it's gone wrong. I mean, there's lots of rumours circulating about fractures in the dressing room and little cliques forming, and if that is true, that's never a good thing. It's not what you want in any form of business or team or anything like that. So that in itself is concerning. Excuse me. But I think the biggest problem at United is there are too many people trying to interfere on what's going in and going off on the pitch and what players are staying and what players are going, as opposed to the manager saying, I want someone for this position, I want someone. They're not necessarily getting that backing from the board, and I think there's just far too much interference. I think I liked Solskjaer. I was a Solskjaer supporter. I still am. I still think they should have kept him, to be honest, and given him some more time. Yes, things needed to change and they needed to change quickly, but now we're in a situation where you've still got a team that's playing badly, and they've now also got to deal with new training styles, new management styles, new position styles, new position playing. And that's just going to compound the issues that I think the team are already having, because there's a clear crisis within the team. A crisis of confidence, crisis of not wanting to get blamed. And you can see this on the pitch, because everybody's moaning at everybody else, and nobody's wanting to take responsibility. Nobody is wanting to stick their neck out. It's almost like everyone's afraid to try, because if they try and get it wrong, then they are going to be the target of blame and rebuke and whatever else. And I think this is the fundamental core of the issue at United. The fact that everybody at the moment is lacking confidence, lacking team spirit, and lacking that I want to go forward, I'm going to take that chance, I'm going to take that risk, I'm going to do this, because they're so afraid of getting it wrong that they're not. I don't think it's the fact that they don't want to try necessarily. I think it's the fact that they're afraid to try. And that's just going to be compounded now by the fact that there's now going to be new players coming in, there's going to be players that we've got that are going out, the squad is going to be changing yet again, everyone's then got to learn to work together again, you've got new tactics, it's just compounded. It's basically what's made what was a massive problem into a ginormous problem, a problem that's so big they may not get over it, and I think they're going to struggle to finish in the top four because of what has happened and because they've changed the manager yet again. I don't think that was the right call. I think the board got cold feet, and I think there were still quite a lot of people, if you looked around, that supported Solskjaer. There was that little cult following who are probably members of every forum and members group going that probably wanted him out, but these are what you would call the fanatical kind of fans. They are the ones that won't accept anything less than how United was under Ferguson, which is never going to happen again. It's never going to happen again. You've got to get that into your head, because until you do, you're just always going to be disappointed. You're always going to be calling for the manager. You're always going to be saying this is shit. And there's a lot of that about, and there's I've said this in another video about fans. You've got fans that can look objectively at things, and then you've got fans that are so centred, they are fanatical about everything, and there's no such thing as a good fanatic. There just isn't. Loyalty is fantastic. Blind loyalty is not. And I think there are real. I think the only thing now that will save United is they need to bring somebody in, and I don't mean a manager. They didn't need a manager to begin with. I think that was, like I said, I think that was a mistake. What they need is to appoint one person to come in, make some changes to all levels of management throughout the club, and for that person to run the club, because there are just too many people trying to get involved and it's not working. And this has been the problem since Ferguson stepped down. You've not got the right people in the right places, and that's key to any organisation, whether it's sport, whether it's business or whatever. It's not working. A blind deaf mute can see some of the gaping holes and problems that are going off at the moment, and you've got people that have got that just are not making the right decisions. You've got people that don't seem to have a clue. You've got people that just aren't. They're just not getting it right. And at this point, I don't think it comes down. It doesn't matter. I don't think it would matter what manager you put in charge at this point, because there's too much other stuff going off, and too many other people getting in each other's way, and I think that is the biggest problem. United has become so big, and there's so much money involved, and you've got the hardcore fanatics, you've got the management, you've got the directors, you've got the owners, and nobody's in sync. Nobody is in sync. There is too much fragmentation, too many people trying to make too many decisions, and they're just not getting them right. You've got to get somebody in, and it should be somebody from outside, completely outside, who can look at everything objectively and come in and go, right, this is what we need. I mean, personally, I know what I would do if it was me. I'm not going to go into that because it's not really relevant. I'm not going to get the job, am I? But yeah, I mean, you can, just looking in from the outside, you can see the mistakes that are being made. You can see bad decision after bad decision. You can see people that are jittery, that are scared, that are afraid, that are lacking confidence, people that are making bad decisions, people that are still there despite the fact that they should have gone a long time ago. And I'm not talking about players now, I'm talking about management and board members. There are very few people that, it's just a mess. It is a mess. And until, frankly, that's rectified, I see a bleak future, and that's sad because it is the greatest club in the world. It's very sad. Anyway, that is my take. You might have a different one. I'm sure there will be people that do, and people that are like, well, no, he needed to go and all this. Well, I disagree with you. I don't think that was the problem, and I think the fact that they're still where they are, it shows it wasn't a problem. And yeah, they've had a few wins and whatever else, but they're not playing well. Anyone who looks at that and says they're playing well needs a head seen to, because they're not. They are heavily flawed, and there's deep, deep, deep issues. Anyway, hopefully they'll sort it out eventually, but how far they'll have to fall before they do, well, I think until they start losing money, which is highly unlikely, it may never change. So United fans better get in for a world of pain, because I can't see it improving any time soon, sadly. Anyway, come back and we'll have a much more cheering updated video for our next one, I promise. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you next time.
Jet plane headed up to the sky, spread wings and the clouds getting